All right, well, we are live. Hello, hello, and welcome to Propel. I am Stephanie Marr, your host, and so excited to have you be a part of this teleconference series that is really facilitated around the mission of facilitating these leading edge conversations with fearless leaders, and not only with fearless leaders, but for fearless leaders. And so we have some fearless leaders that will be featured over the course of this series. So if you are new to Propel, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you have been able to catch the other two conference series with Tamara Bond and Kimberly Smith, welcome back. I'm so excited that you're here. Couldn't think of anywhere else I'd rather be tonight than here having this leading edge conversation with this phenomenal leader. So before we get into tonight's broadcast and before I introduce my special guest, I want to just talk a little bit about Transformation Living Systems and some of the work that we are doing there, right? So Transformation Living Systems is a personal development and training company really centered around the mission of building women from the inside out. And so what does that look like? What does that mean? That means really guiding and instructing women in really doing the work that it takes to, I like to say, really connect with their next level. You know, a lot of times we talk about, oh, the next level, the next level. And I think that the next level is there. But I think that we have to grow and we have to ascend and to rise to a place where we are able to now connect with what is next for us. And that really goes in every area of our lives, not just, you know, professionally, personally, you know, anywhere that we are looking to expand and to grow. And so we do a lot of work there through live events, events like this broadcast, through trainings, workshops, books, meetups, and things of that sort. And so really working with women to do that work is something that I'm extremely passionate about and have been called by God, I know, to do. You know, Coach, we'll get into this, you know, possibly in a little bit, but I was thinking about just this work and all of this. And, you know, there is a call to gather. There's a call to women together. And so I didn't realize that. And it's like, I've been doing that for a really long time. Like, I didn't know that's what it was called. I didn't have a brand, no business, but I have been gathering women for a while now. And so it's kind of that piece where your stuff, you know, Les Brown said, have stuff, but where that stuff is always with you in some shape, form, or fashion. I can remember as a single woman bringing women together in my little one bedroom, one bathroom apartment. You know, I always wanted to equip women and challenge women and really just have them to stretch, you know, their thinking, stretch, you know, their perspectives about who they are and where they are and some of the challenges that life, you know, will throw at us from time to time. And so I've been doing this for a while. Because I said all that for a while. So when we really think about what it means to, you know, be on the leading edge, I often say that it's the comfort zone that is overcrowded. And that leading edge is the place where I believe that those that have the courage really step out from that which all that is familiar to really just kind of begin to explore to see what's next, because there's no straight path to next. And so those of us that are out there on that leading edge, it is a place that is filled with possibility. It is a place that is filled with transition. It is a place that is, you know, it's where it's happening. It's where I hang out. It's where I find myself really the most. It's where I excel. And so it's that comfort zone that we really begin to move from. And then when we think about being fearless leaders, what does that mean? You know, that doesn't mean that these are, you know, leaders that have not had challenges or obstacles or things of that sort, but they are leaders who have decided, right, to take fear with them. I know you're going to be talking about doing it afraid. Right, they've decided to take fear with them and make their way out to the leading edge. They have removed the barriers and removed those many times what I call self-imposed limitations that, you know, between them and what's next in their good. So that's a little bit about the broadcast. And so it's my hope and prayer that, you know, when we are done here tonight, that something that has been said or, you know, discussed or exchanged, that you're able to leave with one idea. You know, if you just glean one thing that you can take from you what causes you to think differently about where you are, who you are, or even what it is that you aspire to do or to become, that our work here at Propel is done. You know, when we think about what does it mean to propel, to cause, to move forward. And so
Yes.
what we want these conversations. I do believe that so many of of our answers can be found in having these types of rich conversations with people
Definitely. Agreed.
that can help us light the path on the way. So that is Propel. So tonight, guys, I have with me Coach Shaundra D. Her life's dream has been to motivate, coach, and inspire women to become the best version of themselves. I love that. So with over 15 years of coaching, training, and mentoring in the higher education arena, Shaun has been considered an expert in the field of coaching and professional development. Using her powerful life story and applying the skills she's developed over the span of her career, she's excited to present to the world her new own journey with her brand Life in Motion. So welcome to the virtual stage tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What's up?
Woo! Thank you for having me.
Super excited, super excited. I had an opportunity to connect with Shaun, believe it or not, last year this time
Mhm.
out in, where are we, Virginia? Somewhere in the DMV?
Yeah. We were
Out
in Maryland.
in
Yep.
Maryland at Speaker
Hmm.
John with Dr. Sherwood. Big ups to Dr.
Yes.
We started on that one, right?
Right, right.
But Shaun was there, and it's crazy because I can't tell you the people that I have gone out and met in different places that live right here locally that
Right.
I never would have connected. I mean, people that are the city over for me, and I'm out in Savannah, Georgia, speaking at an event and connected with, people, and
Wow.
they just become these life partners. And so Shaun was there and realized she was from the area, and we just have been, kind of keeping in touch and supporting each other virtually along the way. And she was awarded last year, I believe it was the Speaker on the Rise, Speaker on the Move Award at SpeakerCon.
Speaking Riser Star of the Year. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And I knew then not only was she sharp, honey, but I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I said, she is going places. And she's a woman that I want to connect with and be able to talk to along the journey. So, when you think about this notion of being a limitless leader and you think about
Mm.
the work that you are doing over at Life in Motion, talk with us a little bit about that brand and that work and how the two connect and how they align.
So, limitless leaders. Really, when I hear that, I think about leaders that have been able to overcome obstacles or barriers or personal limitations to lead in several arenas. You know, your leadership is not narrowed down to one area, but when you have overcome those personal limits, those personal obstacles, and you have that breakthrough and you're able to lead on several different levels, on several different platforms, it takes the boundaries. That's the word I'm looking for. It removes
Mhm.
the boundaries from your leadership capabilities. So that's what Life in Motion is about. It's about that your life continues to move forward, and your life continues to move from one level to the next level to the next level, which is the parallel to that in leadership, is that when as you overcome your own personal barriers and limited thinking, it opens your leadership up to go from level to level to level as well.
Yeah, to lead at high levels, because I often say that we cannot show up in a space professionally that we don't occupy personally. And
Oh
so
yeah.
we begin to talk a little bit about leadership and organizations, and I know that you are
Hmm.
in higher ed. I've spent over 2 decades in the public school arena, and one of the things that I find is that everyone wants result, right? But no
Hmm.
one wants to do the work of that self leadership that
Hmm.
leads to those high results that we want to see with student achievement or whatever that looks like. And my thinking is in the level of consciousness that I'm in now, there are no magic bullets. Like
No.
you can't hire a consultant or a coach or
Mm-mm.
a subscription. Like there's no magic fix. Like it's all about people. And so I love what you said just a second ago about really being able to lead at those higher levels. And this is an
Hmm.
individual call. And I think that when we're able to do it individually, imagine what happens collectively when you show up in an organization where,
Yeah.
yeah, talk a little bit about that, what that looks like.
And that's the key to that. You hit the nail on the head. When we're able to lead ourselves, that sounds funny when you say that,
Mhm.
the ability to lead me in the right direction, doing the work, doing the self work, doing the investing in myself to grow and to be better on every platform. Your leadership can't elevate if you don't personally elevate. And there's investments that come along with that, investments of time, of money, of people that surround you. That investment grows you, and as you grow, your leadership grows, your value and your worth in the leadership roles or in the leadership arena grows as well. When you're developing leaders, one of the first things you look at is that person's development. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what type of leader you are. How do you overcome obstacles and challenges? Because it gives some insight as to how you will lead larger groups.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's important that, everything is really built and centered around this growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The growth mindset is the God mindset. And so I think part of that is realizing for me, coming into this understanding that we never really arrive anywhere.
No, you don't.
It's a constant, it's a evolution. It's a constant transformation. And so I think coming into a space with being okay with that, because a lot of times I'll hear, people say, I'll be happy when,
Yeah.
happy when this happens. I'll be happy when, I get the degree, when I get done with school, I'll be happy when I get married. And then you have married people, and when I get this divorce, I'm going to be so
We're always getting ready for the next, it's going to happen when, and there is no perfect time and there is no ending point. There is not a point. There's a starting point, but it is not an end point. People will say, just let me get to this level of success and then I will do the next thing. But getting to that level of success, that target should be constantly moving. That target should not be a stagnant place that you're trying to arrive to say, okay, now I'm here, now let's do this. No, that target should always be moving. As you grow and develop, the targets move. So there's never going to be I don't believe there's ever going to be a perfect point to start something or a perfect point of waiting. I'm going to wait until. No, it don't work that way.
Yeah. I often say waiting to see is not a strategy, which is a great segue kind of to the next question you talked about. There's definitely a starting point, but there really is no ending point. So when you think about women who are really trying to determine what that starting point is, I know for myself as a professional, woman who is building a brand and still, professionally employed and things like that, like sometimes there's a struggle. And I think that women, sometimes we've been forced to feel like we have to choose, that we can have our entrepreneurial dreams and we can build that, or we can be, moving up that ladder corporately, or moving up, matriculating through whatever system we're in. And we feel like we can't really do both. So, talk to women who are kind of finding themselves, at that impasse between the two. What might be, or how might they come to a starting point of really determining what resonates with them?
Well, when you think about that, what resonates with the women, with a woman, you have to go back to that self-inventory, doing the self-work, and understanding what makes you feel the most fulfilled. It's important that the things that you're investing your time in, your money in, your energy into, fulfill you in some way. And I call it the sweet spot when we look at our professional lives and when we look at our maybe personal desires or what resonates with us outside of our professional life. There's a place where those should intersect. And I call that space of intersect, where they intersect, can't get that word out tonight, the sweet spot. And that should be the place where your corporate job or your professional job resonates with you deeply. And that's where you're going to be the most happiest and the most fulfilled, is when those two cross and that sweet spot, you come to that. So, it's important to understand what resonates with you so that you can recognize, what's good for you and what is not good for you. And that you're not just settling into what you think you're supposed to be doing, but you really are moving in a direction that you're going to be fulfilled and you're going to be satisfied, because it is possible to have a professional corporate career and be entrepreneur. I toggle between the two right now. I have my entrepreneurial desires and dreams and that I'm chasing down. But I also right now have a professional journey as well. And I am blessed to say that over the last 15 years that I've been doing this, the two have collided. But I had to understand my purpose, what resonated deeply with me, to even be able to come to a place to say, hey, do the two mix? Can the two work together? So very important to identify what resonates with you as soon as you can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I too, like you, have been extremely blessed to really know that and to have that, have the joy of that profession. To be able to, kind of build both at the same time, the volley between the two. And, the reality is some, women don't have that, that luxury, or they haven't really, I won't even say the luxury. I don't think they've arrived to the place of consciousness to really know and understand that. It's kind
of, because we're not taught that. We're taught to get a job and bring home a paycheck. We're not taught to figure out purpose and then look for fulfillment, look for professional development out of that purpose. We're not taught to do that. We're taught to find a job, bring home a paycheck, pay your bills, not chase down your passion and purpose within your professional career.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so true. I often think about even just like, even our mother's generation, like we're in early times because there are so many resources now available for us. I mean, there is no lack of information.
No.
Implementation, there may be a lack of inspiration, there may be a lot of things, but we have access to so many resources and people and things that really help us to kind of do that work of really bringing to the surface that work that resonates with us. And some women, I feel like have been called to really do that with women and really facilitate that work with women. And so, this is the age of the woman.
Yes, I agree 100%. 100%.
The age of the woman, if you just look around, I mean, women of all colors, all backgrounds, all, just it's just the age of the woman. And that had not really been the case, I think, in those that came before us. There was a very narrow path that was prescribed, and many of them stayed along that path. I'm grateful to be in this space and to be who I am and who I'm becoming in this day and time. Because I don't know that I could have made it back in the other generation.
I would not have, ma'am. I would have been one of those that was always in trouble with this mouth and saying it. I wouldn't have been able to make it.
I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if I'd have made it.
I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. We were talking a little bit about this before we got on, and this being the time of gathering for women. And I just really, I don't take things for granted. I don't take this gift and this call to ministry and leadership that's, my life, that has become my life. I don't take it for granted that has manifested at this time that we're in right now. Purpose could have shown up and manifested greatly at any other point of my life. But the fact that it showed up at this point and is making such an impact in the time that we're in, if you are a woman in this space, your voice is important right now. Your voice is important right now. Your gift and your call is important right now. So this is not the time to shrink back. This is not the time to go hide. This is the time to let your voice be heard in the arena or in the area where your voice will resonate. Everyone has a voice and a story. Everyone does. This is the time to build that courage and that confidence and let your voice be heard, because it's the time to gather women together. It's the time for our strength to come together. It's a time for our resources to come together. It's a time for us to come together and move forward initiatives that really will impact the trajectory of the world, I believe, and in everything that's going on. Women are life givers. We're life givers. I call it shape shifters. We nurture, we change the atmosphere, we bring a different energy, we bring life to situations, and that's what is needed right now. Women that were bold enough to stand up, let your voice be heard, and interject life into some dead, desolate situations.
Yes, that's so good. As we were talking, the word community just kept coming to how important it is to establish, whether it's a community of achievers or just communities of being like-minded,
Right.
I'm convinced, not to switch gears too much, but I'm convinced that, when the good book talks about forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, I believe part of that is in like-minded community. I don't believe that is just for, what we know to be church, 10 and 12 on a Sunday morning. And I believe that when we assemble ourselves in community with those that share our beliefs and values and, those core pieces of us, that is life-giving. That's the life that you're talking about.
Yes.
We can only get in community. So, for women, I will hear women say, in passing, oh, I'm a loner, I don't do women, I don't, that kind of thing. And that just always kind of just makes me like, ugh.
I cringe when I hear that.
Something unnatural about that, Shawn, because community is our natural state. It is our natural state to be in a community and to commune one with another. And so people are moving away from that. It just makes me think that, something has happened that has maybe caused that breach or what have you. But there's so much that can happen
in community and relationship. That's another word to play on that community. We are made to live in relationship with other people, and right now an initiative that I'm talking about a lot on my platform is Girl Get Your Circle Right. And because the importance of community and the importance of relationship, and I've said before, whoever coined the phrase "no new friends" was just, let's just throw that out of the window, because in some areas of your life you need some new friends and some new people. You need some new friends. You need some new people around you to help, elevate you and help move you forward. When we look at how successful we either are not in our life, it can be directly correlated and connected to your community. Who's around you? Who are you in relationship with?
Yeah, and it's the law of association. I do a lot of talk and study around, spiritual law, which I think are really the natural laws that God created when He, created this earth, and they govern what happens in the earth. Right. So when you talk about the law of association, you can't really get away from it. There's no way you can be, in the middle of a certain type of influence and not be a part of that or impacted by that in any way, shape. So it's the law. And, fortunately, the law is unyielding. It is unbending. It doesn't change.
That's right. It does not change. Laws and principles does not change.
And so even when we don't understand the law, it doesn't mean that the law doesn't work. It just means that we can't make it work for us because we don't have any knowledge of it.
There you go. There you go. Yes, ma'am, because the laws and principles are not changing. And that is the foundation of the Bible. It is a collection of principles, a collection of laws that work back then, and those same laws will work today if we apply them and if we fill ourselves with the knowledge to understand. And not just understand and read from a folklore or traditional, mindset, but from a place of, okay, I'm going to apply this to my life in order to see a particular result.
Yeah. It's that level of really that esoteric understanding. Like, what is it?
Yes.
We hear it, we see it, but what does it really look like, and how does it come alive? How do I now begin to embody those principles, and what does it look like at work in my life today? So That's my jam, Shaundra. Don't get me started
Yeah,
there.
I was just about to say, ma'am, that is not tonight, ma'am, not tonight.
Look, that's my jam. You can get me up in there for a hot minute. I'm telling you.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about, as you know, as women are really doing that work that you talked about, you know, in terms of figuring out what resonates with them. And sometimes women, I do want to interject this as I begin to ask this question. Sometimes that process is figuring out what doesn't work, figuring out what does work. Also figure part of that process is knowing what does not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have found more value sometimes in knowing what not to do.
Yes.
Still not clear about what to do, but very clear about what not to do, right?
Yes, most
So as
definitely.
women are on this journey and really giving themselves permission to explore, because I do believe it's a type of exploration that happens over time. What are some of the challenges that come with that work? That come with doing that work? What are some of the challenges that you have faced in kind of peeling back to, you know, make that connection, have that light bulb moment for yourself? Because, and I want to talk about the challenges because I think it's important that we know that the journey is going to be laced with challenges, and that sometimes those challenges are barriers, you know, and this is why that self-knowledge and self-awareness and self-mastery talked about initially is so important. You got to be able to distinguish between the two.
Yeah,
So
you do.
talk a little bit about some of those challenges for you and what that was like.
Well, challenges for me, and I wrote the word permission down because I did not want to lose that thought pattern. First of all, we have to, as women, give ourselves permission to just be in whatever space we are in. For me, it was patience. I had to tell myself just last night, be patient and be still. You know, so being patient, being still, and listening for direction, and not moving so much in, first of all, in a place of fear.
Yes.
You know, I'm afraid to do it the way I'm hearing it, so I'm going to do it the way I think is going to be easiest or is going to be best. That's not the way, the direction that we should go. That's where you start looking at the mistakes start popping up, and things that weren't supposed to be in your path are now in your path, that create obstacles that didn't have to be there for you to get over. So knowing how to be still and listening, you know, that was my thing. You know, Shaundra, be still, be patient, and listen. Don't quit. You know, because I'm a Gemini and we get bored real quick. And we'll put one thing down. I'm a Gemini to my heart, and I will get bored with the thing. But sticking with it and being consistent and seeing it through to the end, even when you can't see the progress, know that moving forward is progress. You know, I don't see it the way my mind, you know, the end of a thing. Because you know we work in images. Our minds work in images, and sometimes you get the image of the end of the thing, and not understanding that you have to do some work to get there. There's a process to that. There are steps to get to that. So I had to kind of slow myself down, not get discouraged when I'm not seeing the image that is, you know, been painted in my mind or that I have in my mind, but understanding there's a process to that. So being still, being quiet, listening, being consistent, and being patient to get there. Knowing that it's closer than I think, not getting discouraged. You know, I would get discouraged. I used to share, naturally a talker. And, you know, so my mom says sometimes you overshare, but when things come to me that I get excited about, you know, I want to share and tell other people. And I would get caught in the loop of pleasing people and listening to what they say about my dream, letting other people talk me out of what the image that I see in my mind. The thing about dreamers, the thing about visionaries and leaders is that you don't always have a large audience of people that are seeing the thing the way you see it. It's part of the gifting of being a visionary, of being a leader, of being called to a particular thing or to a particular platform, is that you're not always going to have a room of people cheering you on. Sometimes it is just you in that room with your thought, but you have to be so confident that what I see is where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life, regardless of who's with me, regardless of what they're saying, regardless of if they're cheering or not. You still have to be consistent and move forward towards the dream that's in your mind. So my challenges that I have to work on daily, and these are, the things that I'm saying right now, I just repeated to myself just yesterday. Be quiet, be patient, be still, and pay attention to what you see, not what you think other people want you to say or want you to do or what the direction that they want you to go, but remain true to the call, to the gift, to the image that I see in my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was some of those challenges.
And I love that, about listening and being consistent and focused on all of that. And, we are in a space and time now where that's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because there are so many distractions. And if you aren't a person, a woman in particular who is really grounded, while being connected to a community that can help to keep you grounded is so important, as we talked about earlier. But you'll find yourself just kind of taken away, on every whim that comes along,
You will.
Well, I think that's a good idea. I think I'll try that. But that looks good. I think I'll go over there and take one of those. Well, I think, I think I could be good at it. Well, try that. Well, maybe I could do this and that. And so you'll just find yourself, just really, really being in so many different spaces and never really drilling deep, never really moving past the surface of anything, because you're so, like you said, you're just involved in so many things because it's so noisy. And so what I would say to that for women is I want to encourage you to quiet your lives.
Yes.
The things that I've learned in this pandemic, Coach Shawn, is to the quiet, is the peace is priceless.
Oh my gosh.
I work to protect it. And so I don't like a lot of things in my space, even if I'm hearing or in my, or, coming across where I can see that stir up something. I'm so thankful for the gift of snooze and block as a social media. Like, seriously, I have, it's my timeline. I want peace. I don't want to, scroll and see people bickering and arguing and carrying on back and forth and criticizing and, just like it's a jungle out here. And so
it is.
you have to be careful. You have to know what's important to you. And you have to know how to create that quiet for you when you need it. Because I'm telling you, you will get lost out here. And one of my good friends, Dr. Kimberly, talks about the spirit of copy and paste. And you'll find that you're just copying and pasting anything that you see other people do, and you want to do it. You copy and paste and put your name on it, and there's no authenticity. And the power, right? The power is the authenticity, like that vulnerability and transparency. Like you can't copy and paste that. You can't get that from somebody.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And that goes back to what you said earlier about the importance of knowing what resonates with you. Because in that quiet time, it gives you an opportunity to bring in the things that connect to purpose.
Yes.
One of the things I tell clients all the time, in order for us to even begin working together, we have to clear some clutter. We clear your physical space, we clear your mental space, we clear your spiritual aura, of all things that will block progression. So yes, you have to clear clutter, quiet your life. And that has been one of for me, the beauty of this, pandemic and quarantine, when, we were in the beginning of things and we couldn't, we weren't leaving the house, we weren't engaging with a lot of other people. And for me, I live alone. So that was really, I live alone and I hate to be alone. So it was really a time that I had to be prayerful and say, what am I supposed to do with this time of quiet and stillness? Instead of worrying about being in this environment of quarantine, what good can come out of this? What am I to learn in this space? And when I started to declutter, clean out closets, create creative spaces for myself in my own home, business ideas, business ventures began to flow freely. Connections with people, networking began to flow free. It's amazing what happens when you quiet everything in your life, when you quiet the distractions, the noise, when you remove clutter, in every area. Some relationships clutter our mind. As women, I talk about it all the time. We have a loyalty problem. We want to hold on to everybody that we don't need to hold on to sometimes. That's part of that distraction and part of that noise, so that you can hear what really needs to be happening in your life. So you have to understand what resonates with you. You have to understand purpose. You have to understand your voice and what your voice is created for, so that you can take advantage of those quiet times. Yeah. Quiet yourself, still yourself.
And I want to add to that too, that I believe that is your work. Like, people can help you in that work, people can guide you in that work, but you can't pay anybody to do that work for you. Like,
no, you can't.
There's not a coach around that can say, okay, I've done, this assessment, and this is, this looks like a good one, a good fit for you. You go do this. Like, there are so many people, and it's kind of why I got out of the business of coaching, because I felt like people wanted to pay me to create a result for themselves that they weren't really ready to work and dig for. And so, part of that, I talked earlier about part of knowing what you've been called to do is knowing what you have not been called to do.
Yeah. I understand that.
I got in and out of that space real quick, because, it was like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost? And I'm like, well, it's a process. And I'm going to guide you in the process, but I'm not going to, you're going to have to own your results.
Yeah, there's no magic wand that you just wave over a person and it's there. Yeah. And, you will appreciate your results more when you have done the work to get there, versus someone you value it a little bit more. You were speaking of peace earlier. I value my peace right now. I value the space. I value what was created during that time, because I know what it took to get me there. And that's in life's journey. In many times I can look back at my life and see things that have happened that brought a value. It was a bad situation, but it added value to my life, because I knew the fight to get out of that space. So when you will do the work, how much you toiled and stressed, and so it brings a different value to it. So you have to do the work.
Yeah, which is a great segue to, Coach, into the next question, because it talks about values and what your top 3 values are, and how do those values show up in your work?
My top 3 values: integrity, empathy, and let me see what would be. I would say respect. Integrity, empathy, respect are the top 3 values for me in life and in business. Empathy from a place of and this is can be good and bad, but I feel, I can feel energy of people that I'm working with, with my clients. And I don't want to get in the boat with you, but I want to be close enough to you that I can understand the place and the position that you're coming from. Respect in the way that, I respect your journey just as I want you to respect mine. We all have different journeys, but our journey can help someone else. Like Cheryl says, our story is about us, but it's not for us. It's part of that journey. But as women, we have to respect the roles and places that each woman plays in another person's life. Where does my story play into your life? Where does your story play into mine? And then just the integrity. Integrity is huge, doing the right thing every time for the right reason, even when nobody's watching, being a person of good moral character, that you will move in a way that always honors God. My life, I always want to move in a way that honors God and also honors purpose and call that I have on my life. I don't take this lightly. I don't take it for granted. It's a very serious thing for me. So integrity has to play a part in that.
Yeah. And, integrity is at the top of my list too. And it still puzzles me today, the amount of people that are, just in business and, in endeavors, in different endeavors that don't have integrity. Like, it's the quickest, it's the quickest blow to your brand. It's the quickest anything that you're doing. And, the one of the things that I've learned in leadership is that there is value in the grapevine. So you've got the grapevine. What you heard it on the grapevine. There's value in the grapevine, and a lot of times there is a version of the truth on the grapevine.
Yeah.
So my goal has always been, I don't want my name. I don't want any of my dealing. I don't ever want myself tied up in what's going on the grapevine.
Right.
It could be, remotely misconstrued as lacking in integrity, because it's just too hard to come back from.
It is. It's too hard to come back from it. It is such an unnecessary battle to fight. It is such an unnecessary, if we are just, my mom tells me all the time, show up your authentic self every time. Don't attempt to be something else or somebody else, or, because if you are not showing up your authentic self every time, then the integrity of who you are is now being challenged. We don't know who you are from one situation to the next situation. So you can't remember, girl, and I'm old. I have a hard enough time trying to remember the kids' names. I don't try to have to remember, what was I when I was this person last.
I'm too old to remember what I told you over there, or I'm supposed to be acting like this right now. Like I cannot. I always say I have all these kids over here. People say, "How many kids do you have?" I said it's 2, but it feels like 10. I get it.
Girl, and mine are grown, and I'm like, yeah, I got all these kids over me. They don't even live with me, but listen.
So, Coach, tell us, if you do nothing else this year, name 3 things that have made this year a success for you.
Oh goodness! If I do nothing else this year, 3 things that has made this year a success. I gotta first, my business, being able to pivot. I've talked about that on a couple of platforms, and I'm pretty proud of what I've been able to accomplish in this environment. As speakers, we live for the stage. We live for the audience. We live for the mic in our hands, because that is what we do. And Facebook memories does not make it any better, because all these memories are popping up of events, and I'm like, I'm just like, give me a mic, please. So having to pivot and go from the stage and live audiences to virtual space. I've done more in this virtual space than I did on stages last year. So I've done media, I've done, newscasts, radio, stuff that I just think I probably would not have chased down if we were not in this environment. So I gotta say, first thing would be business pivot.
That's good.
Next thing, I think I would say, just fighting through COVID. Just fighting through this new normal. And it really created a different space for me. I was laid off. I was one of those millions of people that lost their job due to COVID. So to be able to have the resilience and tenacity to fight back from that. I'm employed now. Today was actually my first day. And so thank you. But I think just being able to fight out of that, I'm proud of that journey, although it was devastating when it happened, because I'd never been in that space before. Yeah. And I had worked hard to ascend to that place, and did not understand what was happening. I worked too hard to get here to have it end in a 2-minute phone conversation. Yes. So just, being able to keep my sanity and not just go crazy during that time. So being able to fight through that, I think would be the second thing. And just a third thing, relationships have been strengthened during this time with my family, with friends. I have learned who's for me, and I've learned who's not. And that has played a very big role in my ability to fight through everything that has happened since March up until this point. So I think those will be the 3 things. If I close my eyes and don't wake up tomorrow, I'm proud of those 3 areas of my life.
Yeah. I think the comeback, I think the comeback is real. You talk about, that professional impasse.
Mm-hmm.
I have recently found myself in that space. And, I can remember a time where I would have been, just unraveled about, oh my God, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to go? And what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I promise, Sean, I was thinking the other day about this, and and it was God. I was not going to say something, that really spoke to me. And he said to me, you are not looking for a job. You are attracting your next opportunity.
And ma'am, listen here with that right there. Go back to when we talked about what resonates with you, and understanding that sometimes, and I could not see it then, I see it so clearly now, that sometimes we need that little, again, situation that forces us out of what we have become comfortable in, to get you to focus on what's important now.
Yes.
What's important right now. And it wasn't looking for a job. God, what's the next assignment? What is the next assignment that connects to purpose and call? Because if it doesn't connect to purpose and call at this point in my life, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want it. And I believe God honored that. I believe he honored that prayer, that desire. And he felt the passion and the pain and the everything that was connected to that. And it really does give you a different goal to chase down. You're not looking for a job. I'm listening for the next assignment, and understanding that even this assignment is temporary.
Absolutely.
This is not the permanent end all be all. This is a temporary assignment to launch you into the next part of what is supposed to be going on. And when we went into COVID, I was trying to encourage people, and I came with the comeback, and I did a podcast about it, that I didn't realize that I would become part of that movement.
Yes. Yes.
I'm trying to help everybody else stay positive and upbeat. Don't focus on the negative that's going on right now. Focus on the comeback. What's to come down the line? And you go from being the leader of to a part of the movement.
Yes.
And it was just a funky place and space to be in. But what you just said, it's not that I'm looking for a job. Here's the next temporary assignment.
Yeah.
That launches you into the next level of purpose and call. Because God is so good like that. He's just so good like that.
Yeah. And
he sets us up.
Every assignment, Shaundra, what I know now is every assignment is a bridge. Every assignment is a bridge. And so when you know that, you don't get caught up in trying to have all the answers or have it all out or have all the pieces. I have more just peace right now. I'm like, okay, I try to keep myself clear so that I can hear, because I believe whatever is next is calling out to me. I'm calling it, and it's calling out to me. And so
we're meeting
that energy to collide, it's got to be clear. So if I'm here in frustration and all these other, emotions that don't serve me, then I'm not going to be at a space to connect with what's next.
Right.
About, having re-engineering that self-dialogue and that self-talk. And it's practicing. I'm like you, I preach it all the time, but practicing it. And here's the beauty of being a teacher. I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student. And I can't a lesson that I haven't prepared, and I can't prepare a lesson that I haven't experienced. And so anything that I do, for others, I may be the teacher, but I'm also the student. And so you say going from leading to be a part of. So it's been a very, very interesting experience. And so, people, people do what they do. Well, I'm looking for a job. I said, well, no, not really. I'm really wanting to attract. I'm staying open for what's next. Like, I think it's so important that I stay open for what's next. And they're like, what does that mean? I don't know how to describe it.
I understand exactly what you're saying. And for me, going through that process of completing job applications and all of that, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. This is not how it works. You know, you put you put it out there, you tell God what you want, and then you do the things to prepare you for when that time comes. And the beauty of it all is that when you approach it from that perspective, it does give you a peace. And when you are in peace, everything else falls into place. There are, 8 months that I've been off that I have not missed a beat, because it's a peace that God brought to that. And following the path and the assignment and listening, as you said, quiet myself to listen. And he provides for you in the waiting period.
Yes.
While you are waiting for the next, he provides. So it's important to be able to get your energy right, your vibrations right, what you're putting out into the earth, because that is what you're going to attract. Whatever you put out is what you're going to attract back to you. So being very, I was just about to say it, it's a law. It is a law. So it works that way. Whatever that's why it's important. What are you taking in? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who's your community? Who are you in relationship with? Because all of those things go into the energy that you're putting out into the world and what you are attracting back to you. Oh, that's powerful right there. The law of attraction is one to be studied.
That's a whole other thing.
We got to come back and do that one. We got to come back and do that. Manifest some stuff in your life. We got to
come back for a part 2. So last thought for tonight before we close out. If you were your own coach, and you have done it a little bit already, serving as a coach to women and helping women really to do the work to up level and to connect and really rise to what's next. So as your own coach, what advice would you be giving you right now?
Understand there's a process. Mm-hmm. And in the process, there's transition. And you have to go through the transition to get to the end result.
Yes.
And transition is not bad.
Yes.
Transition is just the vehicle that takes you from one place to another. Yes. Just as seasons come and go, it's a transition from fall to winter. It's a transition from winter to spring. It's a transition from summer to however it goes. It's a transition between seasons. So it's not a bad thing. It's just the vehicle by which you go from one point to the other. So at any point and with anything in life that you're attempting to accomplish, there is a process and a strategy. There is a process and a strategy. So I would coach myself to understand the process. And then I posted it just a little while ago. Hold on to the promise. Hold on to the promise that only you know within yourself, that only you know what's in your mind. Only you know those images, those dreams, those things that play in your mind. You can wake me up out of a sleep, and there are certain things that I can articulate to you because I think about them over and over and over as it pertains to my future. Hold on to that promise. And if you don't see the results of it right now, just keep moving towards the promise that you've been given. And there will come obstacles, there will come challenges, but then understand that there's a process, and in every process there's transition that will bring you back around to the promise. So if I had to coach myself right now, that is what I would coach myself on.
You're talking and you're closing out, and I'm thinking that is the law of gestation. You don't get pregnant and have a baby at the same time.
You do not. Oh, that's good.
So understanding that, I'm telling you, I know we're closing, but I'm telling you, that has saved me so much stress and inner turmoil. Just understanding, like you said, there are seasons. There are seasons that you are to gather. There are seasons that you are to sow. There are seasons that you are to move and invest. There are seasons that you are to sit in silence. Yeah. There are seasons that you are to do. And so part of that, everything goes back to really the first talking point about self-management and self-awareness and mastery of being able to determine where you are. Yeah. And not trying to sow when you're supposed to be gathering, and not trying to, build when you're supposed to be sitting, or different, those different directions are that will be given as we move throughout the journey. And so for me, being able to discern and really knowing that, hey, this is not the time for that.
Right.
No now doesn't mean no forever, but this is
It does not mean no now, does not mean no forever. But like you said, it just might mean sit still. Now is not the time for it. But if it's supposed to be, it will come back around at the appropriate time when you can handle it, when you can manage it, and when you can get the result that's intended to come from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could go on and on.
I can talk to you all night, ma'am. I can talk to you all night.
But I know you got to go up and get to the new space, get to the new assignment in the morning. So we're going to close out. I want you to talk. We've got several that have joined us tonight. Thank you, Kizzy. Thank you, Candy, who've been over here in the chat, just cheering you along. Ro, just some others here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this conversation tonight. We didn't have any questions that came through the chat, so we're going to go ahead and close out. So, Shaundra, what I want you to do is to talk a little bit about what is next, right? What are some things that are next for you, and how those that are watching the broadcast and those that might even be watching the replay, how they can connect with you and what they can expect to happen coming from you with Life in Motion next.
Well, the website is streaming on the bottom of the feed here, but you can connect with me on social media. I'm Life Coach Shaundra. I'm on Facebook, on Instagram. You can connect with me on my personal Facebook page at Shaundra Dineen. And I say all the time that the two kind of bleed together. Just on my personal page, you get, shoes and maybe where I'm eating at from time to time, or my kids. But my life and my brand is all things elevating women, empowering women. So it just kind of everything bleeds over into each other. The next thing that I have coming up that I'm super excited about, every Saturday morning on Facebook Live, on my personal Facebook page, Shaundra Dineen, I host Coffee Chat with the Coach. And this platform was, a twofold. It was homage to my grandmother, who at her kitchen table, we could at any time in the day come sit at her kitchen table and have a cup of coffee, and she would sit there and talk to you while you drank your coffee. So it was the chatting at my grandmother's kitchen table over coffee. And then I was, strangely enough, running into people, and they were sharing their stories of overcoming fear. So I started, just coming on Saturday mornings talking about overcoming fear and some of the people that I met while I had my coffee. So it has developed into a thing now. Actually, next month will be 1 year that I've been doing Coffee Chat with the Coach. And that just dawned on me the other day that it's been a year, and I think I've done it every Saturday except maybe 2 or 3. So, that's pretty cool. The consistency of that, I'm excited about. So I'm taking it, and we're going to just, attempt to bring it into a live platform, a live audience on October 31st, starting in Houston. Very small groups, respecting social distancing and the mask requirements and everything related to COVID. But we're going to have Coffee Chat with the Coach live and do a small group setting, a small group meetup. We'll still broadcast it on that day live on Facebook. But if you're in the audience, you get the pre and the post chat from the live. So I'm really excited about that. You can register at my website, www.lifecoachshaundra.com/events. And the tickets are selling really fast. We only have 15 spots. So go get your ticket, and we'll see you in the Houston area if you're here on October 31st.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That C word, that consistency is so important.
So important. So important.
Yeah. So glad. Congratulations on your almost year of coffee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, head over to the website if you are watching in the Houston area or know of like-minded women in the Houston area that might be interested in connecting with this fearless leader. Then absolutely take a moment and share the information.
Yeah.
Shaundra, it has been a pleasure tonight.
Yes, ma'am. It has been a pleasure. Stephanie, look now, by now I've been asleep for about an hour. So for you, I stay woke to do this broadcast.
I'm so excited. Look, we got to stay woke literally and figuratively. So
Right. Anytime. You always have my yes, anytime.
It has been great. You have just shared with us, with viewers tonight, a wealth of information and, just strategies and principles for, doing that work, doing that work out on that leading edge. Here's a woman who has created an entire movement around doing it afraid, whatever
Yeah.
it is. And so I want to just take a moment to say thank you for those that stuck with us tonight. There have been many. I've been watching the chat that have been in and out all night. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Propel. Thank you, Shaundra Dineen,
You're welcome.
for staying up with me tonight.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We'll definitely have to get back together for a part 2 to continue some of these conversations.
Would love to. Would love to.
It has been great, guys. And also tonight, just for being here and being a part of, just being a part of the broadcast, I have a free gift for you. 6 power keys for life transformation over at ineedthekeys.com. So take a moment and go there and pick up your free gift. It's the very least I can do for having you to hang with me and be a part of this broadcast tonight. So guys, we will see you next time on Propel. Remember, we are facilitating leading edge conversations with fearless leaders. So thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.